it looks like he's talking to himself because he doesn't know that I can't hear him right now. Wait, let's see what he's saying.
Which is mostly just sitting here.
Hello?
There you are.
You're breathing into the cam.
What?
You're you might be breathing into the cam, or not the cam, the mic. The mic.
Am I a little bit too intense?
You're a little intense, Dr. Paul.
I get that.
How are you doing today? Boxes. You have boxes behind you.
Lots of boxes. I'm doing all right. I'm still recovering from my horrible, horrible dental surgery. So I'm not quite talking at 100%. There's still a little bit of lisping and a little bit of slobber and drool happening. And I'm still getting used to my new mouth.
Well, we can't tell. And you're not swollen. Wait, what happened? What happened?
So it's all part of the plan, which was, do you want me to go into the gory, disgusting details?
Let me ask chat. We'll just see what they say with that. We'll give them like a second here. Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys. Yeah, that's me. Hey, guys.
I'm so excited to be here, guys.
All right, they want gory details.
Okay.
So my canine teeth, the baby teeth never came out when I was a kid. And my parents couldn't afford dentistry and all that, so they just stayed. I did have adult canines, but they're floating up here, like in my palate.
Mm-hmm.
And this was slowly over the years becoming an issue because you're not supposed to have baby teeth for decades and decades, so they're slowly going away. And then this adult canine that was floating around up here started to move and started to run up into other teeth, and it was starting to cause some issues. So about 3 months ago, I started the plan, which started with braces to make room in my teeth. And then about a little over a week ago, I went in for oral surgery where, one, they removed a wisdom tooth, but that was like the start.
Uh-huh.
And then they also removed those baby teeth, yanked them out, and they had to expose the adult canines, which are way up here. So they had to like dig up into my gums until they finally started poking out.
Uh-huh.
And then we have to bring them down. So my gums were rolled up and so they could expose more of the tooth. And then they attached little gold chains to the teeth, and then they put my gums back down over that. This tooth has a gold chain attached to it that comes straight down, gets attached to my braces. But the other one, the one that's crooked, has to be straightened first. So there's a small screw in the roof of my mouth, and then a gold chain. The gold chain runs back to that screw so it can straighten up, and then they'll move the chain and start pulling it down. And to make room for that chain, they had to cut into the my palate, like make like a trench in the roof of my mouth to make room for that chain. So all that went down a week ago last Friday. A week ago this time, I was barely talking at all, just kind of mumbling. Sound like Dick Clark. Horrible analogy, but that's exactly what I sounded like. And now I'm getting there. I'm getting there, but like I still have a lot of sensitivity and soreness in the roof of my mouth, and there's extra gaps in my gums where there didn't used to be. And so some air can squeak out when I'm trying to make certain consonant sounds. And there's a bunch of sutures. It's like Suture City up here in my gums. So that's making it difficult for my top lip to move. And I am hyper salivating.
Well,
because of all the
healing.
Yeah, because of all that, it's just like I'm like constantly making spit. And so it's making me really sloppy when I talk.
Yeah, so suture's not a good word for you. I'm putting that on the list of words you can't say for probably the next month. Sutures.
Suture. If I try really hard, let's see if I can do it. Suture.
Yeah, no, there's still way too much chur in that. Suture.
Suture. Maybe that's just how I say suture.
Say future.
Future. Nah. That is a weird...
It's the chur.
Future.
It's the Oocher.
Future. Yeah, that's really difficult.
Sutures from the future would be
Sutures from the future in my mouth.
I can't believe you're actually like at work though.
I took the first half of last week off.
Yeah.
I was back. I was functional. Like I had all my energy back and I could move around. I just couldn't talk. So I was like taking a vow of silence for the rest of the week.
Did you walk around with the chalkboard?
No, with Stephen Hawking's old synthesizer.
Oh, okay. Well,
vocalizer.
Good.
And it's only been the past couple days that I've been able to carry on like entire conversations and sound halfway. So I'm hoping it goes away because like I got a lot of work to do with my mouth. And Dr. said it'll be about 2 or 3 weeks.
Say Dyson sphere.
Now you're just torturing me.
I know, but someone in chat said that.
Dyson sphere.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Say she sells seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore. The sh is a little bit shushy. Mm-hmm. Do I get to keep the gold chains? Well, right now they're inside me. So maybe after a couple years, yeah. I got to keep my teeth though.
Great.
I got a little thing for the tooth fairy.
Awesome. Hopefully no jewelry from those.
No.
Okay.
No.
That'd be a dedicated wife. Here's my husband's tooth. I'm really hardcore.
Okay, someone wants me to say Drake's equation.
They're just choosing things, you know this,
a little bit.
So someone said, NapFam goes 2 chain Sutter.
Polly 2 chains.
Yeah.
And you have to say it with the list too. Polly 2 chains.
I don't know if I can do that. This week in teeth, right?
Yeah, this week in teeth.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes.
I can't lift up my mouth so you can see the carnage, but.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'll just leave that to your imagination.
Yeah, that'd be some toss. That'd be some violations of terms of service.
Yeah.
You guys can do the guest command. This is Dr. Paul. He is an astrophysicist. He's also super important. Do you have your book? He has a book and it's available for pre-order.
I can't speak, but they cannot take my voice.
Right. Your place in the universe. So it's in the command if you do the guest command or if you just do ! Paul. He's Paul. A regular. Paul. Buying another copy. An astrophysicist and dental victim.
That's me. Because I knew what was coming. Mm-hmm. Like they explained it to me, but then I'm like, I asked a million times, will this change my voice? Will this change my voice? Will this change my voice? And they're like, no, you'll be fine. And then the surgery happens, and I'm like, I could talk. And they're like, yeah, for a couple weeks.
You got some chains in your mouth, by the way.
You have a trench.
Right.
Right. Half of the roof of your mouth is missing. You're going to have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's... I've had a root canal, and I've had my wisdom teeth removed, and I had 4 dry sockets after having my wisdom teeth removed.
You had dry sockets?
Yeah, it was one of the worst pains I've felt ever.
I managed with a lot of help from my wife. We avoided the dry socket.
Yeah.
What a sentence.
Yep. I think that was the only time in my life I actually passed out was from the pain of that. I was just talking to my sister. I passed out.
I'm only supposed to eat soft food for 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I was eating a pizza, like chopped up into little bits. And I took a bite of crust. And the crust was soft, but there was like a little overbaked corner jabbed right up into my trench. That was nasty.
Oh, man. Yeah. Dry socket is the devil. Yeah, no, and I had 4 of them. So.
Whew.
Yeah, well, so you want to hear something really crazy? My sister had 6 wisdom teeth.
How do you even do that?
Because evolution.
Is she like an alien? Like the alien's alien?
No, I'd just say that evolution, was like I'm not going to touch you.
She's very wise.
Mm-hmm. Not really, but it's okay. No, she is. Are you guys, any chance you're talking some science, please? We are.
Yeah.
We are. It's okay. Calm down. You're the only one that said that out of all this. We have Dr. Paul in here all the time. And I was actually going to ask, so the Galileo thing that we were talking about, when do you want to do that now or do another?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay. So I think, do you want, so now?
You want to do one now? Like you want to do one every week?
We could do one every week. Yeah. For the next couple or, a few weeks.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell people what this is while Joe's getting the giveaway thing ready because this is going to be for one of your patrons. Right.
And a sub for you.
And a sub for me. Right.
You got to do both to qualify. So this is a Galileo Scope. It's put together by a nonprofit, GalileoScope.org, which they ran out of funding because they don't make these anymore. This is limited edition. And what it is, it's a telescope you can build at home. They give you all the parts in an instruction manual, and you put it together at home, and it has the power of Galileo's telescope. So you can see some examples. You may not be able to see that, but you can see the moons of Jupiter. You can see the rings of Saturn. You can see star clusters and nebula. And it's really, I'll open it up here so you can see. It's a really fun kit. So I put together a couple of these. Great project for the kids. You even get stickers that say, don't point this at the sun, because that's a really horrible idea. You see, you pull out the box and you can immediately see that that there's all sorts of fun stuff in here. And I forget how to take this thing off.
Ooh, they want you to sign it.
I'll sign it.
He'll sign it.
I'll sign it. So you take the cover off and see all the pieces, parts.
Wow.
Ooh, lots of parts.
Yeah, I bet that's
but it has everything you need. So it has a little, it has all the lenses, has different eyepieces, like multiple eyepieces, a Barlow lens, like the whole deal. It's a real telescope.
Yeah. So for shipping, someone said EU or NA, or is it just NA? So Europeans or just North America?
So I'll ship this anywhere. I don't care.
Oh, guys.
It may take a while.
And this is out of the generosity of him, by the way. He was like, hey, I got some of these. Do you want to maybe do this? So he allowed this for Skynet. So that's super, super sweet of him. And before
so sweet.
So sweet. And before someone from Antarctica wins, right? So we can do that giveaway. We can do it at the end of this, actually, if you want. Like last 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. So what are the rules? Like, you have to sub to you.
Yeah, you have to be a sub.
And then you have to contribute to my Patreon.
What?
What?
For them. So do they have to contribute?
You want it to be just for you?
Well, no. Aren't we doing ones for your Patreons too?
Oh, you want to do different giveaways?
Oh my God! Now you're making me feel all awkward.
No. It's cool.
No. If someone can contribute, they should do that, and anybody in here should do that. Wow. Hold on. Sorry, loud ice maker. So
we should decide the rules.
Yeah, we should. So contribute to the Patreon. What do you think would be fair for that? Because I'm okay with that too. This is a telescope.
This is a telescope.
But how to manage that would be a little bit harder to see who's a Patreon and who's not.
Oh, like you have built-in.
Yeah, I have a built-in raffle thing.
Okay, how about this? So how about 1 week we do you?
Uh-huh.
And then 1 week we'll send people to my Patreon, and then I'll manage it.
Perfect. Let's do that. Loudest ice maker. I know I'm in the ceilings here are very, 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 very tall. So yeah, we can do that. And then
we'll just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Sweet. So yeah, we'll do that at the end. We'll do that at the last 5 minutes. And we'll go from there. Telescopes are banned where I live. What?
That's not true.
That can't be true.
You live on the sun?
Security, maybe? I've never heard of that.
Oh, like peeping Toms and stuff?
Right.
Yeah,
well, telescopes
don't
will be
point
the worst.
this at your neighbors.
You know why? Because you're just going to see the thread count on their shirt. Um, oh, the Middle East.
Really?
North Korea, someone said Middle East. Jordan, yeah, Middle East.
Huh.
They don't allow them in. Interesting.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know. So we were talking about Pluto today.
Yeah. How about Pluto?
How about it? So there's a lot of stuff coming up that I'm reading, and I don't know if it's just that people are sending me outdated articles from earlier this year.
Probably.
Yeah, but like saying that it needs to be reinstated as a planet. First, I've never really asked you, what are your opinions on Pluto as a planet?
I think it should be a planet.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
I'm with the looks like a planet, acts like a planet, talks like a planet, sounds like a planet. It's a planet.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean, if
so,
you just look at it, if I just gave you a picture of it, you'd be like, yeah, it's a planet.
right.
What's up?
And so, you know, a lot of the thing was says it can't clear out its own neighborhood, but, you know, planets, you know, that's like the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. But that definition was intentionally chosen to rule out planet Pluto from being a planet.
Right.
It was deliberately designed. And then this latest argument by Brian Metzger, I think, is saying if you look back at the decades that we've been studying Pluto and the centuries that we've been studying planets, this definition has never, ever come up in the literature, ever. Like nobody's ever used it, ever. Nobody's cared about whether an object clears its orbit. It was artificially manufactured in order to exclude Pluto, even though the scientific community, which this is supposed to represent, never ever uses that in any way.
Right. And I mean, didn't they at some point, you know, way before the 50s, classify even asteroids as planets?
When Ceres, the biggest asteroid, was first discovered, it was called a planet.
Yeah.
And then we discovered like a bajillion others, and we're like, maybe this isn't a planet. Now Ceres is qualified as a dwarf planet, while all the other asteroids are much, much smaller than Ceres, so they get to be just asteroids.
Yeah, and Ceres really stands out, doesn't it, from the rest of the asteroid belt? I mean,
it's round. It has a history of there are different layers inside of Ceres, which means at one time it was hot enough to be molten and for everything to mix around and to settle. So that suggests Ceres has a different history than the rest of the asteroids.
Yeah. And it has, I mean, but yeah, so it's, I think I'm good with like the hydrostatic equilibrium. Like if it can maintain that ball, that spheroid shape.
If it's round.
Right. And I mean, the thing with Pluto is the one thing is that people want to make it a planet again, but they're forgetting about all the other objects that we have found, including Ceres, right? But, so it's just further in, that's on the asteroid belt, but all the other Kuiper belt objects that are also, you know, like Sedna, Haumea, Makemake. Sounds like I just sneezed 5 times, but, you know.
Real names.
Real names. Eris, for, you know, these are all things that we would have to add back in, and I'm sure there's a host more that I'm just not listing off the top of my head right now.
There's probably, we guess
hundreds,
there's
right?
Like thousands.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the biggest objection is like, oh, if you let in Pluto, now we're going to have thousands of planets. Like, who cares if there are thousands of planets orbiting the sun?
Well, I got to admit, I kind of care because I just hung up a thing in my daughter's room that's a solar system. And I did it with, and you know, do you know how tedious that would be if I had to deal with like another 50 objects? I was even trying to get like, you know, I wasn't trying to make it pretty. I was trying to make it real. So, you know, I have Neptune like almost against the wall in a corner.
Nice.
You know, and then I used really bad tape or the sticky stuff that came with it. So the sun fell in the middle of the night. She, this morning, she was like, Mars is down and so is the sun. And I was like, great, sorry. Well,
Mars down, Mars
down, Mars fell. But yeah, so, I mean, these are the kind of things that I think about as far as like explaining our solar system and doing it in a nice compact fashion.
Good. You know, that's a valid point. But how many stars are there in the Milky Way?
Right, 200 to 400 billion.
Yeah.
No big deal.
How many of them have names?
Like real names?
Like actual names.
not many.
Like,
Hundreds,
maybe
thousands,
hundreds, maybe 1,000 or two. We don't care
right?
about the others. We care about the closest ones. We care about the brightest ones. We care about the biggest ones. With the planets in the solar system, yeah, we might have 10,000, but we just list like the top 10
Yeah.
because those are the ones we care about the most.
Yeah, as long as we can like be like, the solar system's top 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10,
Yeah.
like pitch it
I
like
can
that.
see the YouTube videos right now.
Yeah, it'd be great. Sky making the sun collapse is realistic. No, it was the heaviest and the tape gave out. I don't know why Mars went down too. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to that. Or maybe it was intentional.
Or it was never there.
If Neptune's in the corner, Pluto could be. So that's the other thing. Like, this would cause people, and this is not really any kind of ordeal, really, but textbooks would have to be rewritten once again.
Oh, well.
Okay, I'm from
Science
Colorado,
progresses.
and we really enjoy our trees, by the way.
Books are a carbon sink.
I know, but we shouldn't be using printed books anyways. Planets are
pull out all the old books before 2006 and just reprint those, or just dig them out of the closet.
Yeah. No, Danny says they rewrite them all the time anyways. Yeah, no, it was more of a joke. They do. Because this is a science that's constantly changing. So the solar system presented by BuzzFeed, right?
Yeah.
So, and then also this goes into the whole Planet 9 thing, right? Which, if we just add these back in, it's not going to be called Planet 9 anymore.
Well, then, if it's discovered, it gets a real name.
Right.
I don't know if Planet 9 is out there.
Yeah, so I've read an article recently to the chat that it could be a collection of objects. Do you want to go into what you think about it?
Yeah, it's like we don't have a picture of an object out there. What we have are the orbits of some of the most furthest out objects in our solar system. We've been able to track some of them for a few years, been able to reconstruct their orbits, and some of the orbits are kind of weird. They seem to be lined up with each other, which probably isn't due to just random chance. And you start asking, what causes these weird orbits? Mike Brown and company, and then another competing group ran some simulations, and then their most favored hypothesis is that there is a massive object, like something the size of Neptune, way out there. We're talking 30 times the distance of Pluto, something like that. And if you put this massive object out there and give it just the right orbit, then it will slowly tug and tweak on all these other smaller objects and get their orbits to line up. So that's the story. That's the story of there's this line of evidence that suggests there might be a massive planet out there. Okay. Turns out there are some potential, maybe not as compelling, but there are other explanations for why those orbits might be weird. Maybe they're not weird at all. Maybe it is random chance. Maybe there's some self-interactions. When you introduce a massive planet into the outer solar system, you don't just affect those objects that you're looking at, you also affect everybody else's objects. So if you follow the simulations through, you're like, oh, you don't get the solar system that we know and love. There's also problems with forming a massive planet way out there. There just isn't a lot of stuff, which means that planet had to be captured, but then it's really tricky to capture planets on really big orbits like that. So it's not without its weaknesses. That said, the search is on, and the search area constantly changes, because they're constantly updating the models and the predictions of where this planet might be. I'm guessing, I'm willing to bet like 50-50 odds it's not out there, or if it is out there, we'll never find it. Because if it's not found in the next few years, people are just going to give up. Because we have to get really lucky for it to be on the closer side of its orbit so we can actually spot it. If it's on the far side of the on its orbit, really, really far away, then we're probably never. It will take a very, very long time to actually see it, and people just get bored and move on and study other things. Um, if it is out there, there's a few competing groups that are actively looking for it. I'm hoping that a group other than Mike Brown's group
Mm-hmm.
finds it, just so that the credit and the love is spread around a little bit more, because it wasn't just Mike Brown and his group that are pushing for this and think it's out there. They're just the ones with the best publicity.
Right.
So
And you
we'll
also worry
see.
about, biasy in that too, right? So just any kind of like bias that could happen. Scientific bias, like they want it to be there so bad, right?
Right. And so to convince, if there is an announcement, anyone who announces this knows there's going to be a huge amount of scrutiny on the detection or the claim of the detection. So you know, or you hope they're not going to jump the gun
Right.
and just go for it, that they'll actually do their homework and make a convincing case.
Right. Uncle Bill had a question and said, couldn't that lining up of orbits be bias in the few objects that we observed plotted so far? It's a sample, a
That's,
small
yeah.
sample, right?
Yeah, and that is one of my biggest objections to this line of evidence. Mike Brown says, like you, Robot Chicken says, Mike Brown says it's 99% chance it's there. Mike Brown says that there's only a like less than a 1% chance that these orbits would line up by randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's assuming we have a fair sampling of the orbits. It could be, there could be, you're exactly right, some sort of observational bias that we haven't thought of yet,
Right.
or we're not taking into account, where these kinds of orbits we tend to find easier. And there's a whole population of other things that reduce the or increase the chances of this being just a lucky coincidence, because it's not a coincidence, it's an artifact of our observations.
Yeah. So Mythic says, so someone may accidentally bump into Planet X with a telescope.
That's the basic idea. They have simulations that suggest where this planet might be and where it is in its orbit and where it might be on our skies. So just look for it on our sky and keep searching and searching and searching and searching, and you might see it.
Yeah, Crimson, I'm not going to open it up right now, but yeah, there's a few people. There was some kind of research recently published by the students at CU Boulder, talking about how you can have a bunch of broken up objects that can kind of behave the same thing if, again, you have a mass equivalent that can disturb things. So you can have things that are doing weird stuff and as a collective out in space.
Right.
So yeah, this has really been something interesting to watch develop over, say, like the last like 3 or 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they've up, I've seen the models of it definitely transform over time as well too. Other possibilities that aren't Planet Nine are fake news because it's not that interesting. True. Weird Stuff Collective, Gravity Orgy, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how Neptune was spotted. Yeah. Do you want to give the back history about Neptune?
Yeah. So Neptune, Mike Brown and company, the other people who are pushing this, are following in a fine tradition of looking at orbits in the outer solar system, using like Newton's laws to figure out, okay, if it's moving with this orbit, with this speed, in this shape, then there must be this much mass surrounding it. There must be stuff inside of it. There must be stuff outside of it in order to give it that exact orbit. And sometimes everything lines up, and sometimes things don't line up. So when we looked carefully at the orbit of Uranus, it didn't quite line up. And so we guessed that there was another planet further out from Uranus that was somehow affecting its orbit. And by running the math, doing the calculations, we were able to make a prediction for where Neptune, where this planet ought to be. And we went looking for it and we found it. And then we did the same thing with Neptune, and we found that there must be something further out. That led us to find Pluto. Turns out that was just a mistake in the math all along, but we happened to find Pluto anyway. And so there's this long tradition. You can even look in the inner solar system. The orbit of Mercury is a little bit weird. And for a long time, people thought maybe there's a planet inside the orbit of Mercury, a hypothetical planet called Vulcan that was really close to the sun, affecting Mercury's orbit. That never bared fruit. Turns out that wasn't a flaw in our knowledge of the contents of the solar system. That was a flaw in our understanding of gravity, and general relativity was able to fix that and accurately predict the orbit of Mercury. So we have these examples going back and forth for centuries.
Yeah. And is it Pluto that actually, wait, which one was it? Which I always forget. Is it Pluto that goes like in between and like really just screws with Neptune's orbit?
So Pluto will spend 20 years of its orbit inside that of Neptune, and then the rest, something like 180 years outside.
Yeah.
So it's called a trans-Neptunian object.
Yeah, TNO. So that's what we were talking about. So it's had, so many different names, a KBO, which is a Kuiper Belt object, a TNO, trans-Neptunian object, or a comet or planet, or now a dwarf planet. Dwarf planet. There's a W in there. Dwarf sounds, it overlaps at some point. They will never collide, though, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible that there was a Planet 9 and it got kicked out of the solar system somehow?
So, yeah, we do know, or we're pretty sure, in the very early solar system that there were more planets in the early days that were formed. One or two or even more got kicked out as everything settled down. But the challenge with Planet 9 coming from our own solar system is that if you build something massive in our solar system in the early days and then you kick it out, you really kick it out. It's gone. It's not coming back. It's very, very hard to almost kick something out, to give it enough energy so that it escapes the inner solar system, has this ridiculously huge orbit, but never quite leaves. That's actually like a knife's edge balance in terms of gravity and energy, and that's really unlikely.
Yeah, and like a slingshot. Yeah, but that thing's gonna shoot though. That's kind of just it, like to actually maintain an orbit while being ejected. Yeah, and finding these kind of things like rogue planets. How do we detect rogue planets? Because planets are usually found, and correct me if I'm wrong, by the reflection of their star's light, right? So how do we detect these rogue planets?
So with rogue planets, we can detect them two ways. One is they're still hot. They still have some internal heat. So they're glowing in infrared. So with an infrared telescope, we can pick them out. And then the other way is when a rogue planet passes in front, just by sheer chance, sheer coincidence, passes in front of another star, the light from that star will get bent and warped, magnified briefly through an effect called microlensing. This is the light following the path of bent space-time around that rogue planet. And so we can look for these little twinkles, these little blinks in distant background stars, and that tells us about the rogue planet population.
Gotcha.
Either way, it's very, very difficult, but we can do it.
Yeah. Are these rogue planets painted Vantablack or something?
No, they will look, a giant rogue planet will look something like Jupiter. Especially if it's bigger, it'll be even warmer. It might be glowing a little bit in the red, mostly in the infrared. It'll look magenta.
So you're talking about brown dwarfs then?
There's a fuzzy line between giant planet and brown dwarf. The accepted, the definition that we're all supposed to use is 12 times the mass of Jupiter, but that's a very, very fuzzy line.
But there's no fusion occurring, correct?
At 12 Jupiter masses, something magical happens. There's no fusion like inside of a star, like hydrogen and hydrogen merging together to make helium.
Right.
That is the definition of a star. But above 12 Jupiter masses, you can get fusion of deuterium. Deuterium is a hydrogen a proton and a neutron glued together. You smack that with a proton, you make helium-3, releases a little bit of energy. That takes less temperature, less pressure than good old-fashioned hydrogen fusion. So it can happen at a much, much smaller scale. And that is like the definition of a brown dwarf, is something that at some point in its life could have maybe sort of done deuterium fusion.
And I think from that description right there, I just learned like 12 words that will be very difficult.
There's a lot of jargon.
No, for you to say after your dental surgery. Yeah. With like deuterium fusion, proton
fusion. I just want to talk like this so I don't have to really work at all and there's no pain.
I mean, the words, it was amazing.
I'm sweating because it's hard work to talk.
Yeah, I know. So let's see. Deuterium reactors are also known as nuclear salt reactors.
Maybe. I forget.
And yeah, below a red star. So yeah, it'd be below a red dwarf star. These brown
although
dwarfs.
the line between brown dwarf and red dwarf is very blurry too. Because the smallest red dwarfs look very, very similar to the biggest brown dwarfs. And from a distance, if you just see like a dim red thing, you can't tell right off the bat whether it's just a very cool star that's still burning hydrogen in its core, or if it's a really, really big and fierce brown dwarf.
So considering the ridiculous amounts of radiation Jupiter kicks out, could that help us find these larger but not sun-like objects? That's kind of what he was saying. Yes. That they're going to glow. You can look at them in the infrared, the longer wavelengths.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've even seen brown dwarfs and rogue exoplanets that host their own incredibly strong magnetic fields and will flare occasionally, and sometimes they'll flash in X-rays, and we can catch that X-ray flash.
Really? They'll have a flare?
They'll have flares because their surface is so hot, they're emitting streams of charged particles which get caught in their own magnetic field and then wound up into the poles, causing aurora, causing flares, the whole deal.
Interesting. And do these brown dwarves have exoplanets? I mean, does it behave so much like a star that you can rely on that as a source of energy?
So we've seen brown dwarfs in orbit around proper stars. We've seen brown dwarfs hosting planetary systems. We've seen binary brown dwarfs. We've seen the whole mix. If you want to live around a brown dwarf, that's a little bit challenging because they'll have a surface temperature of, say, a few hundred to a few thousand Kelvin, which a few hundred Kelvin is room temperature.
Right.
And so if you want to depend on it for heat, you have to be inside of it, which probably isn't the most pleasant thing.
Deuterium was used to power Air Force planes in the 1950s, someone said.
Cool.
And let's see. So Go Blue asks, was Pluto always cold?
Well, here's the thing. Pluto isn't entirely cold. It's actually much warmer than it ought to be. If you compare Pluto to other objects in the solar system, it stands out. Pluto is about the same size as our moon. But our moon, totally cold, totally dead, nothing going on at all.
Right.
In the interior. Pluto, though, has this gaping wound of a nitrogen glacier covering a good fraction of its surface. It's a little bit mushy on its surface. It's not 100% crusty. We think even underneath the crust, there is a water ice ocean, or sorry, a liquid water ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Something is giving Pluto enough heat from the inside to maintain a liquid water ocean and to keep this spot, the famous heart-shaped spot, active.
Right. It's still geologically active. So, I
It's
mean,
still geologically active, which requires a source of heat.
right. So how would you search for something like, a dynamo core?
All we can do, because we just had that one flyby with New Horizons, that's all the data we have, probably for our entire lifetimes. And all we can do is simulate and model and guess.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Until we eventually decide to do a Pluto orbiter, or we have the technology to do a Pluto orbiter, that's it.
So Pluto would be younger than Mars. Probably not necessarily.
We think everything's pretty much the same age. Jupiter formed first, then probably the other gas giants, and then all the other rocky planets settled out. But it is strange that Pluto maintains this residual heat when Mars lost it. Venus is probably lost a good chunk of its heat. The moon, Mercury, all these things are even much, much larger than Pluto. And if you go out in the outer solar system, you have these big moons of the giant planets. Most of the moons are cold and dead. Pluto is special for some reason that we don't know. Now, is Pluto typical of the outer planets, the outermost planets, like Haumea and Makemake and Eris and Sedna? Do they all have warm cores, or is Pluto just really special? We don't know.
We don't know. And someone said, so what about, and this is another way, obviously, to be heating things from tides, some tidal forces from Charon.
So Pluto and Charon are locked together,
right?
So that they always have the same face towards each other. What's interesting, and so there's no tidal forces there because they're not they're not squeezing each other because they're locked. But that heart-shaped feature, is on the opposite side as Charon.
The Planatia?
So yeah, exactly. Sputnik Planatia is on the opposite side of Pluto as Charon. So it's always like this. So maybe there's a connection between Sputnik Planatia, the heart shape, and Charon, and the co-evolution of Pluto and Charon.
Yeah, because they both have similar features. For instance, their color, right? It looks, and I was telling people in here, it looks like a soot, right? That both Charon and Pluto share. Are they thinking? Exactly. Are they thinking maybe that Charon is because I saw an image in one of the videos we were watching, but it was muted. Are they thinking like a Theia type incident occurred where something collided into Pluto and gave Charon its place?
Yeah, either something slammed into Pluto and then it ejected and became Charon, or Charon itself slammed into Pluto. And they survived. They both survived the collision.
That's
so you see, Charon is like cracked in half. So we think it maybe cooled down, then struck Pluto, or something violent happened to it, and it cracked it open. This may have been the birth of Sputnik Planatia. That may have been where Pluto was impacted. There's lots of cool ideas out there.
Why is Pluto Charon not officially considered a double planet system? I mean, they orbit a spot outside each other's planetary boundary.
Right. Well, Jupiter and the Sun orbit a common boundary that sits outside the surface of the Sun. But we still call Jupiter a planet and the Sun the Sun. So, you can consider Pluto and Charon as like some sort of double system. Pluto and Charon are very, very different. Charon is a lot smaller. Meh, I have no strong opinions.
Yeah, so Bill Nash said the smallest planet in the solar system, and Sharon still managed to hit it. Sharon might be my niece.
Nice.
Sorry, that made me laugh. No mention of this study. Scientists spotted 72 signals from alien galaxy 3 billion light years away. You want to tackle that one?
I didn't read it, but I can tell you exactly what I think about it.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
We hear bleeps and bloops all the time in astronomy, especially radio astronomy. And there's lots of bleeps and bloops that we can't explain and we don't fully understand. That's it. That's it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think someone was asking about that earlier today, and I mean, we've had bird poop interference, and that actually gave to something great. But I mean, this is
There's all sorts of crazy stuff happening in the universe. A bunch of it is going to be rare by definition. We're really good at listening, so we're going to catch rare stuff. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I haven't read about that. They don't know yet. It was just announced the last few days. Yeah, I promise if it's something like super amazing, it will be in certain places and we would probably know about it.
Yeah, and you need more than a random bleep and bloop.
Yeah, because I mean, there's audio issues, that we even have in this stream, and we can't figure out what's going on,
Yeah, we get random bleeps and bloops every time I talk.
Yeah. Defense protocol if it was aliens. Okay. Is Thea still around?
We ate her.
Earth consumed her. Isn't that dark?
I'm gonna go with her.
Well, I think Thea sounds like a female name, but I could be wrong. Wow, I just hit my mic. But I could be wrong.
Don't want to assume a gender here.
Yikes. Good call. See, mentors, they're worth having, guys. Even if it were real signals, it's another galaxy, so there's no way we could see it or communicate it. Chances are, you said 4 billion light years, so
pretty far away.
That's pretty far away. What's in the box? Well, we can do that now. We can start doing the giveaway. Joe?
Those boxes are actually filled with these.
Yeah.
Most of them I gave to the department. We're doing giveaways for our own nefarious purposes, but I've secured 8 of them for myself.
Yeah, so he's going to let us, one of the subs in here, get one, and it's not restricted to EU or NA, which is super nice. The next week we can do a Patreon one with him and his Patreon subscribers, which you guys, if you didn't know, he has a Patreon. What's your Patreon, Dr. Paul?
Patreon.com/PM Sutter. And by the way, on my Patreon, I'm running a special promo for the month of September.
What's that about?
If you contribute at the level of $10 or more per month for the next 3 months, so September, October, and November, I will send you a free copy of my book, autographed.
Whoa.
That's huge.
That's actually really huge. Joe, can we add the Patreon to the poll command, please? Called it.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
It is a free book.
You have a new
the book costs $25. I won't even charge you shipping. I'll even autograph it for you. I'm giving away free books if you sign up for my Patreon. And you have to contribute for 3 months in a row to get it. And you have to sign up by the end of September to make it count.
Okay. So, let's see. And we can go ahead and get that going. So we will put this in sub mode just for a second, guys, so that we can actually raffle this. And Joe, do you want to go ahead and help me out with that, please? Pretty please. And let's see. I know.
I'll just do this.
Wow, this link is huge. Your
Why, thank
command, your command is intense. So we will go into sub mode for a second, and we are gonna give away one of these. It is, well, the whole command, sorry. The command is huge. I already beat you to it. Look at that. Look at that, Joe. Beat you. And so we'll go into sub mode. Am I going to beat you on this too? I just did. I can do the giveaway, Joe, if you're not ready. So
the Galileo Scope is on eBay for $62.
Yeah. Let's see. What have we become? Let me know, Joe, when you're ready. We'll probably do a keyword, and we'll have Paul choose the keyword. So don't enter it yet, because Joe has to... Trying to do 10 things at once. Do you want me to do it? I can do it.
Astro Bob, I'll sign up anything you want. If you win.
Let's see. I can do it. Joe, I can do it.
I'll sign the box because the telescope is black plastic.
I got it, Joe.
I do have a silver marker.
Okay, you're ready? A silver marker. Okay, so Paul, what word should people enter for the giveaway?
They should enter Colby.
Colby?
Colby.
Cheese?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you nerd. Okay, so that's going to be Colby.
Yes.
That's it, guys. I just typed it in chat, so.
Nice. So they enter the special word.
Yeah, Joe has to say enter it. I mean, we're going to do it for about a minute. So yeah, all the subs in here. Yeah.
You've got lots of subs.
I do. Colby is the word, and then we'll let it run for about a minute. I prefer Swiss cheese.
I didn't say this was the best cheese in the world. I didn't say this was my favorite cheese. I picked a cheese. All right, calm down. Actually,
sure,
I got
Joe.
way more excited than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. And sure,
got
Joe.
very defensive.
Smoked Gouda. Wait, so you can have soft cheeses, right?
Yes, I can have soft cheeses. So they can't take that away from me. I actually asked my orthodontist, like in consultation for the whole braces thing. I'm like, can I still eat cheese? And he's like, yeah.
I mean...
Like, why would you? I'm like, okay. Do whatever you want.
Okay,
I don't care if I'm completely unable to talk ever again.
Keep entering Colby just in case it's not populating. Keep doing it. If you think you entered it right after we announced the word, I'd keep going just because Joe has to enter that in too with Nightbot. Sometimes it can glitch out. So it's okay if you spam it. I'm not going to be I'm not going to be upset. You're bannered. I did. Good. And Joe, feel free to roll it at any time. Is Joe manually writing the Colbys down? No, it's built into Nightbot.
Nice. Good job, Nightbot.
Yeah, Nightbot did some things right. Well, laughing maniacally, no. Okay, Joe, go ahead and roll it. Let's just roll it so we can take it out of sub mode. And Joe's just casually answering. Joe, stop asking Joe questions. Coldy?
Not quite. It's when you leave it out of the fridge for too long.
Mm-hmm. Joe, roll it.
Do it.
Amberland won. Nice. So Amber, send me your address information and I will pass it on to Sir Dr. Paul.
I'll do it.
Yeah. So you've won a telescope and that's super.
I'll even autograph it for you.
Look at that. And we're now out of sub mode. Thank you so much, not Amber, Dr. Paul, and congrats, Amber. Congrats.
Well, thank you, Amber Lamb, for subbing.
Yeah, for subbing. No, true. Yes. And she's been awesome with the support too. Yeah, so just send me your information, lovely, and then I will pass it on. And speaking of cheese, how often do you check that P.O. box for science?
I check it about once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, my P.O. box.
Yeah, I don't get enough stuff in mind to even validate going. Like, I even wonder sometimes why I have one.
I don't get anything, ever. I still check it once a week, because you never know.
Yeah. In a whisper on Discord. Discord would be good. And we can do like another 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll let Dr. Paul go so he can rest and
so I
heal.
can stop talking.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I can't believe you went the full hour.
Whew, I get that a lot.
Hey yo, Dr. Paul got some old cheese melting in his P.O. box. Maybe.
No, I checked it just before I came on, actually, and nothing.
Yeah, and huge thank you again for allowing the subs of Skynet. But again, guys, he does have a Patreon, and everybody, this is how we work. So everybody gets really cringy with this when Fraser does it, or I do it, or Dr. Pamela does it, or Paul does it. Dr. Paul, like every time we talk about this, because like we support each other. So that's how this works. Mm-hmm. So if you're supporting him, you're actually...
We gotta hustle. We gotta make a buck.
Yeah. You're still supporting me by supporting the people that are on here. So that's huge. I'm not gonna call him. I wouldn't. I mean, I am a sellout. Yeah, there are sellouts, and the people that I work with that are on here are definitely not that. And also, they're awesome because they are on YouTube. They know how this game works a lot more than I do, and so like that's why they're so comfortable, and I admire it. So, yeah, and
very codependent.
Very codependent. Yeah, so actually there's no questions. Wait, was Thea basically a super Earth? That's a question.
We think Thea was about the size of Mars.
Yeah. So not a super Earth.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I know. Well, we'll let you go and go rest up, and thank you so much, and I will email you Amber's information by
Very
tonight.
Cool. Thanks so much. Thanks for dealing with my impediment.
Oh gosh, it's not even that bad. It's not even
and
that
then
bad.
Hopefully next week I'll be able to talk even more normaler.
Yes, and we'll see you then.
Take it easy, everyone.
All right. Take care.